watching Stockwatch. I'm Simon Brown. Joining me to unpack your stock-related questions today, David Shapiro from Sasfin Securities, Ricus from PSG Hole and One Ruimsig. Be sure to send questions through via email, stockwatch@bdtv.co.za, SMS 41392, on Twitter at Business Day TV using hashtag Stockwatch. Gentlemen, thanks for the time today. Let's kick off with some numbers coming through. Ricus 91 results, net outflows, tough numbers. Market's been lacking, and I got to say, it's a well-liked stock on this show. Your take of the 91 numbers and 91 in of itself as an investment opportunity?
Yeah, obviously the market liked the numbers, but it's not a company that I'm interested in at the moment, mainly because they don't really have, as far as I can see, a very good distribution model. In other words, they are great asset managers, but you need somebody to sell your product. So it's not. I think there are, if one wants to go and invest in financial services, I think there are better options. Even something as relatively boring as Sanlam, for example.
Okay.
That's interesting that you say that. I'm just trying to follow up, Simon. I mean, I suppose when they had Investec, when they were associated with Investec, they might have had a stronger distribution model through people here. I thought they would have employed a lot more people. I see that 50% of their business is institutional, and I mean, it's quite a small amount through the advisors, which is, I think, perhaps what Ricus is referring to. Whatever.
David, your take on it? I mean, the stock's rallied hard. I mean, it's done well in 2025 off the what were they, Liberation Day lows. But over 5 years, it hasn't done. Well, not 5 years since listing 2022, hasn't done much.
No, it's difficult market. I mean, the fact that whenever I open up a set of accounts and I see brackets around the numbers, so, oh no, okay, let's look into this in greater detail. So yes, they're trying very hard, but there's been no economy to support them. And the fact that they're actually seeing outflows, is a concerning side. If you go through the numbers, they lost quite a bit, of what they say, the new business or the added business. Fun enough, it was negative in the UK. A lot came from South Africa. Look, I like Hendrik. I like what he does, but I think that financial services, we all know, we're all associated with it. At the moment is very tough. And I cynically say the only way we can make business is to steal somebody else's clients. So you've got to be better than your neighbor if you want to get business, because there's no new contributions to pension funds, to medical aids, to all of those associations. People are not getting richer in this country.
David, staying with you, a stock going the other way, Spar, although it's got a green day today, numbers out. I mean, again, the 5-year chart is quite depressing. It's down year to date for 2025. Spar for you?
No, they just lose money. I mean, if you go through what they have done, now they're going to get out of Switzerland, they're getting out of certain investments in the UK, they've sold Poland. Remember, they had the problems in KZN with SAP.
Yeah.
They're still having problems there. This was a great business, which is just up the road from you. There was always a friendly man and friendly growers, and now it just seems to be a disaster. And once again, the numbers are in negative territory. So a lot to do to regain their kind of former glory if they can ever get to that. So I know, this for me is a no. When you've got perhaps ShopRite to go to, or even Woolworths,
Ricus, I mean, I can't believe it's the chart that particularly thrills you. Is there much about Spar that attracts you?
Not at the moment, as David said. Apart from having to turn around the business fundamentally and getting rid of all the bad apples, they also have to compete against the convenience of home delivery from Checkers or Pick and Pay or whomever. So it's two things that they've got to do. They used to be your convenience store because they, as David said, were just normally the closest to your home. But that advantage has been taken away by somebody on a motorbike, and they've got to turn the business around. So it might be undervalued because people are too negative on it, but it's never going to, or it's going to be difficult to make it from a non-attractive business to a good business, and I don't really want to be in non-attractive businesses, even if the share price is low because of negative sentiment. Because even if you have a price gain and a capital profit, you're still stuck sitting in something that you wouldn't normally buy.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And I like your point around, yeah, this is suddenly a motorbike, which makes everything close to me. Ricus, let's stay with you. Question coming around Scottish Mortgage. The question was, is it a discount to NAV? I just checked. Yeah, about 10%. The next part of the question was, is it a stock worth looking at? All I really know, it's an investment holding company, and it holds some SpaceX. Ricus, have you got any deeper insight beyond space on Scottish Mortgage?
Yeah,
Ricus sent this question in, you know that. This is Ricus' number, so he sent it in. Yeah.
David, you've got a devious mind. but David's quite correct. This was my stock pick last time I was on the program, and that's there are discounts. SpaceX is part of the story, but it's only a part of the story. The big part is Scottish Mortgage investment philosophy, where they have investment in a lot of companies. They bought Tesla even before Tesla was listed. It's that kind of mindset that they've got, where they're looking for future growth opportunities, and they've been doing it for 108 years and have been very successful in doing it.
David, Scottish Mortgage, do you have any insight? I just checked the email. It wasn't, unless he's got other email accounts. Have you got any deep insights?
I have. Ricus brought it to our attention last week.
Yeah.
And I think it's created a lot of a stir. You know, people are looking up there, and thanks to him, because you would never discover these kind of businesses. You seldom hear about them, but there's certainly a value there. So I'm going to go with Ricus's recommendation.
Yeah,
but I've got nothing to really add to it. Yeah.
No, I'll add my vote to your vote to Ricus as well. We can definitely go with that. The chap has obviously done his homework. David, Ioko, I don't know how to pronounce that. The old EOH. Yeah. Question coming through. I'm finally at break even. Does this stock go back to 20 Rand? Whoa, I don't know about that.
There's a lot of work they have to do. I think to fix the damage that was done over years is going to take a long time. I don't even think they've got their Microsoft license back. I'm not sure, whether they can distribute Microsoft products, whether that has been rescinded. Remember, that was taken away, and when you can't distribute Microsoft, you're in a lot of trouble. But before that, when they were a 20 Rand stock, they were a very good business doing, very good and with high profession, with good professional. But I think just political issues, other issues, questionable issues, just taken them down. And even poor old Stephen van Coller couldn't really get this. He was worn out by the time he stepped down. So it's a business that should be doing well because of the area in which they operate. In an age of digitization, an age of AI, and an age of cloud and everything. But don't hold your breath.
So 20 Rand isn't even the warm-up. 10 years ago, this was 170 Rand stock. Ricus, have you got any deeper insights on the old EOH? Maybe how to pronounce it, or...
I think I'll still refer to it as EOH, it's just easier. But I'm completely biased. I bought some for my personal portfolio lower down, not because it's a great business, but I think because they've got most of their problems sorted out. What they're left with is nothing unique, I think. They are providing services and annuity-based income in that IT space. And I don't think they really have a competitive edge at the moment, but it's still a good environment to operate in, despite the competition in that area. But I think, as I said, I'm just biased, and I was looking at charts and thinking, okay, this thing can go higher, and it can go higher still, but it's still very much speculative, and I'm just working off price momentum here. As a business, I think they are competent, but...
I'm just saying, we're in an area in this market, Simon. It's quite interesting to watch movements on a day-to-day basis, because we're in a fully blown bull market, even though it was started by a nice person and everything. It's kind of, I can buy anything. I know sometimes there's stocks that go down on a day-to-day basis, but when you judge some of the movements, from the bottom, I look at something like Renergen, which I think in its life is never going to make a profit. Bless Steph, he's going to raise billions to actually get that going, which I never think is going to happen. Yet share price has blown through the roof and will continue to do so. I think, there are other businesses like that. So when you get to Ioko, you've got every chance, of Ricus being able to make enough money to buy a house on Ruimsig's golf course,
David, staying with you then. Question coming through. Now that Anglo-American has completed the demerger of their platinum, is BHP going to make a new offer?
Maybe not immediately, but I think down the line, yes. I think BHP's just bumbling along, not doing well. And everybody's after those copper interests. I mean, even Harmony bought copper. But I think we need more consolidation, and it will happen. Maybe not immediately. I'm talking months away. But I wouldn't write that off. It does become an appealing takeover target. And BHP's got to do something as well. It's got to also improve its assets. So I wouldn't discount it.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at the BHP share price, also not doing much. Ricus, I mean, I don't know that it's an investment strategy to think there might be a buyout. You need a better case for Anglo, I would say.
Yeah, it might not necessarily be Bellita. It might be somebody else. But as David said, it's becoming, the Anglo-American is becoming small enough to become digestible for one of the bigger players. And as to when it's going to happen, I don't know. Certainly I haven't heard any rumors or anything like that. So maybe it's not an investment strategy, but you'll probably start seeing it in the price action of Anglo-American before the deal comes through. That kind of news always tend to cast its shadow in the form of price action, volume action in the share price.
Yeah, and I note now the market cap in sterling, it's only 26 billion. I mean, it's a big number, but not for Anglo-American. I don't think it's a big number.
It's a quarter the size of BHP.
Yeah. So they can really swallow
this
it.
used to be a giant of a business.
Yeah.
Before BHP Billiton was ever conceived, or Billiton was conceived, you had Broken Hill and Billiton. It's lost a lot of its value, and it's still got De Beers in there and a couple of other stuff. Iron Ore's not going its way. I don't know. I think someone's going to come out and someone will mop it up.
Ricus, question coming through around Discovery. I like the business. I find it a little bit confusing. Hey, I find it very confusing. But I'm worried about the price levels at all-time highs. Should I wait or should I buy? Ricus, would you be interested in Discovery? Would you be waiting or buying?
It's a very confusing set of numbers and a company, but I bought for myself, so that answers your question. I think it can go higher. There's sort of a short-term target price around the 240 Rand level.
David, Discovery, you're the CA here. You can understand those numbers.
No, there's a big difference between chartered accountants and actuaries. And actuaries do accounts that chartered accountants can't understand. So these businesses are very difficult to value. Genuinely, Simon, whether it's MTM, whether it's Metropolitan, whatever, it's very difficult to understand. You've got to have an actuarial brain with kind of experience in insurance businesses to get a grip on it. I always look at the cash flow, and unfortunately, Discovery is not always tops there. But the market's responding to its so-called turnaround. The bank is at break even now. I don't know whether it's going to start, throwing up good profits and that. They're still having issues outside of South Africa. I don't think all of those businesses are pumping right. But their traditional businesses are okay, which is the medical aid, life, and insure.
Yeah.
Those are them.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And the bank at
I
profit.
don't fight with a chart that goes in the right direction, from bottom left to top right. I'm not going to try and pull it down.
Yeah, no, agreed. We won't fight. Those are the charts that we like to see. David, staying with you, with Trump putting tariffs on steel, there's also some aluminium tariffs out there. With a look at Hulamin or ArcelorMittal South Africa, would you go digging around either of those two beaten down stocks?
They've got to export. I mean, Hulamin has to import. Sorry, it doesn't make the aluminium itself. It has to get it from Bayside or Hillside, something like this. Then it has to process it and send it. So I don't know. I don't know where it fits in the equation, but I would imagine any aluminium products finding their way to America are going to come across Alcoa now, and have to pay tariffs. I don't know. I can't figure this out where they lie. Yeah. But certainly for anybody trying to sell steel into America, you're going to feel the full wrath of Mr. Trump for however long it lasts. It could be a week or so. I don't know. 50% is a big number. So,
it's a big number. Ricus, the problem is the uncertainty. And I mean, investing and trading is never certain, but you want a level of a playing field. At the moment, it's just been thrown around. And I'm not sure that, I don't know, trading on tariffs to me seems a bit risky.
Ricus has gone. I thought you were offline.
Simon? No, we broke up a little bit there. I didn't quite get your question, but let me just jump right into it. With Hulamin, management said, tariffs will affect them, but it will affect everybody. So their business doesn't change because, they were already paying a tariff exporting into America. So they will be hit just as hard as everybody else. The share price itself is at a sort of level where it last bottomed in 2021. So if you believe in technicals, this is the place to start buying it. But I wouldn't do it myself because there's just too many variables surrounding that. As far as ArcelorMittal is concerned, tariffs is not their problem. The biggest factor there is how much taxpayers are going to give them in order to keep them running. If they can be saved by government, in other words, the public, then fantastic. But it's a 50-50 thing. And as I said previously in the program, it's still a bad business. So I don't really want to be in it unless I want to trade it as a spec.
I see Hulamin's up 6% today, but on one very small trade. I don't know. I don't know how to read it. To be honest. I don't know how to read Trump's tariff.
No.
How he's imposing it.
I don't even know what
exported.
I can't even remember which are in place, which aren't, etc. Ricus, let's stay with you. Question similar. Kumba Iron Ore this time. Of course, they're part of the steel pro industry. Worries about tariffs. The chart has been under significant pressure. Iron ore hasn't been doing much. The question is, there opportunity here? Would you be looking at Kumba Iron Ore at these levels?
Look. Let's leave the tariffs aside. I think the iron market itself is under pressure, and there's just one reason for that, and that is China. And China's having difficulty. I can't see the Chinese sort of trying to do a fiscal stimulus because they've tried that and it's not working. So I don't believe that the iron price is going to do a heck of a lot. And therefore, I'm not really interested in Kumba at the moment.
David, would you be liking Kumba?
Simon, they got the margins. Even at 95, I mean, they mine at incredible margins. So they're not going to lose money.
Yeah.
They're not going to go bankrupt, but they might not make the kind of profits that they used to when iron ore was at 110, 120. So you get the operational benefits of that. But I mean, they can still survive at these kind of levels as long as they got the contracts. But iron ore is looking a bit shabby at the moment. As the price has fallen below the 100 now, with worries about China, and you can look at that in its PMI. On PMI or manufacturing there is really sluggish. So I don't see anything spectacular happening, and that's probably playing through to BHP as well. Anglo's, Kumba, all of them.
Question coming through, David, around Meta platforms, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. Question is, it had a sell-off. I missed the bottom. I don't worry, we all missed the bottoms. But surely looking good at current levels. And not crazy expensive. I mean, a mid-20s PE. David, would you be looking at Meta?
Absolutely. I haven't added Meta because I never quite liked Mr. Zuckerberg. I think it was a personal issue in that. But he's coming right, and Meta looks very attractive. In fact, I think all of those stocks at the top are attractive. I think they broke. The reason that markets are as firm as they are in the US, I think, has a lot to do what's happening, in the AI space, semiconductor space, in that area. It's still very vibrant. And my stock pick is around that. So it's one area I feel comfortable with in global markets.
Ricus, Meta, they've got an antitrust trial going on right now in the US. But of course, I remember the Microsoft one, which by the time it concluded after a decade, like no one used Internet Explorer. Ricus, would you be looking at Meta at these prices?
Yeah, I'm sort of with David on that because I don't like their CEO, so it probably clouds my judgment. But it's still considering the tentacles they have in all of social media and the applications there. Yeah, if you can live with management, you can probably live with the share price as well. I don't think it's extraordinarily expensive, and I think they are in in enough separate silos of product in order not to have the problem of being overtaken by something which makes their total business redundant. So I don't think I can be fundamentally against it. It's probably more of a personal thing. It's part of that three modes that we've got with PSG, where one part is management as well, and that just doesn't tick the box for me.
Yeah. No, agreed. Zuckerberg is a weird man. Before we go to stock picks, Ricus, question on Sasol. I'm finally in profit, small profit. Should I sell and take my money? Ricus, would you be, if you were in some profit on Sasol, would you take money, or do you think there's more upside here?
Well, I think it's a long-term downtrend. So if you are at a profit, I'm not saying selling, but make sure you've got a stop loss in place, and as the price goes higher, move your stop loss up as well. You don't want to, as so many people do with this kind of cyclical type of shares, or shares that are very volatile, where you make a huge profit and you watch it all the way down and then all the way up again without making a decision because you don't have a plan.
Yeah.
So, in something like Sasol, which is fundamentally not a good business, but the market is behind the share price at the moment, just ride that, but make sure that you don't miss out on the selling. But the only way to do that is to have a stop loss in place in your mind, if not literally.
Yeah, I agreed with that. Stop loss, because who knows where it's going to go. You might be able to squeeze some more out of it. Let's go to picks. Ricus, you're going with Bytes Technology.
Yeah, look, it's in a very competitive market in the UK, and it's basically an on-seller of Microsoft products and the like. But as we were talking about ISC or Ioko, it's in a good market segment at the moment. Their results were okay. Their cash management was great. So I don't think it's not Meta or anything like that, as far as prospects concerned, but at current valuations, I think they're undervalued, and I can see about 15-20% upside in the price over the next year. And technically, it looks good. And let's face it, as a South African, you've got very limited opportunity to get into the IT business, and Bytes to me looks like a reasonable avenue.
Yeah, and certainly it's been a good spin-off when they came out of Ultron a couple of years ago. David, as you alluded to, TSMC is your pick today.
Yeah, Taiwan Semiconductors. I mean, they came out with numbers which were blowout. And it's not even the numbers that they produced. It's just what they say about the future, what they say about demand for semiconductors. They make them. ASML produces the big machine, they buy the machine, and they make the chips for NVIDIA and so on. So, but, what's coming out of them, and they've gotten a deal now with NVIDIA, but I mean, what they say about future demand is just astonishing, in not only for mobile, but for high-level computers, meaning AI and so on. So these are the companies producing the goods. The outlook is just still very, very attractive. Don't discount it. Don't be a cynic. And that's why I'm saying with Ricus, with Bytes, those are the businesses which will eventually implement it for smaller businesses, or not even such smaller businesses. You're going to have to introduce AI. You're going to have to introduce all those kinds of software programs if you want to survive.
Yeah, and they make the chips, and we only but need more and more of them across all sizes, big, small, and in between. But that's all for Stockwatch today. Thanks to our guests, David Shapiro, Sasfin Securities, going with TSMC, Ricus Readers, PSG Hole and One Ruimsig, going with Byte Technology. Up next, the close. Stay watching.